Hi everybody, I'm Joey. I'll be making this kitchen island today. It's pretty cool, it's mobile, it's full of awesome storage. It's made out of Pacific Island Kauri. New Zealand Kauri is just too tricky to get a hold of really. And I've also used Kauri veneer plywood. Anyway, stick around. You might learn something, maybe not. Maybe just like watching videos. See ya. So first thing was to dress down timber for the legs. And then I could put those blocks in my big press. Next was to sort out the rails for the end frames. And to cut the slats for the end frames. My big bandsaw was not accessible, so I had to use the small one. And then I could sand them up. And finish cleaning them up with the hand plane. The drum sander only has a fairly rough sanding grit on there. Then I could mark out for all the slats. And made a pretty quick and nasty jig to hold the slats so I could throw the dominoes in. So I kind of dry fitted everything so I could mark out for the large dominoes for the main frame. I'm using shop-made dominoes from leftover scraps of Iroko. They are 30 by 10 mil. With the end frames done, I could move on to the base panel, which is a solid timber frame with a plywood panel. So I could dry fit the base panel or frame together, and with it clamped up I can then round off all the corners and then take it apart and make the grooves for the plywood panel, which is this. It's a Kauri veneer 18mm plywood. Alright, I made a mistake cutting that piece of plywood. I've not allowed for my tongue to go into the grooves I've cut, which is not cool. So what I'm going to have to do is glue on some kind of little batten under the bottom there, and then I can glue my panel down on top of that. Yep. So with that fixed, I could actually get the real glue up underway. The reason I rounded over the inside corners of the frame is so I could have a 3mm quirk where the plywood panel sits lower than the frame. So then I could move on to the top rails, which are going to be dovetailed into the top of the legs. This small rebate really just helps for the dry fit at this stage. Once these were fitted, I could then make a dado a bit lower down on the leg. This will take the lower draw rail, which will then be made into a sliding dovetail. It's always a good day when I get to use these toys. In my opinion, the easiest way to make sliding dovetails. So to make this pretty large checkout to take the bottom panel, which will sit inside the leg there, and taking the dovetail fence off my plane, it is now side rebate plane, and I can adjust the fit pretty nicely with that. And I would just keep taking a hair at a time until I got this fitting just right, which is not quite yet. I could fit the top rails dry just while everything was gluing up, and flush up the bottom panel now that it's dry. So then I cut my center dividing panels for the cabinetry and put some edging on. I had to allow for that 3mm quirk on the bottom panel, so just use my electric plane to make a nice little cut out for it.
And then spent a bit of time fitting the sliding dovetails. Now I'm adding a screw into these dovetails, merely as a hold down, a better hold down for the top when it's eventually screwed to it. I had to add a few pieces into the cabinetry to make a center divider. One side of the cabinet has 3 drawers and the other has 2. Then I could throw together some pretty simple doors, just a frame and panel. And yeah, I had some walnut dominoes left over from that sofa I made a little while ago. So that's what that is. And I could start working on the top, just dressing down the rough stock. So for the drawers, I'm using undermount runners by Kingslide. So start by putting the runners on the carcass, and then just cutting a whole bunch of pieces of timber up for the drawers. This is a super simple way to make drawer boxes if you've got a domino. I made these 5 drawers up in about an hour and a half or 2 hours, I think. I'm using plywood for the drawer fronts so I can edge all of those. One of the drawers had these dividers, so they went in. And then back onto the top so I can start flattening it out. After I used my number 5.5 to get it mainly flat, I come back over with my number 3, which has not got a rounded blade, so it's still leaving some blade marks, but I'm really just taking out the worst of the planer marks from before, and then I'll get on to sanding, which is much faster than trying to actually finish with a hand plane. So then I could trim it to size and round off the corners. And add the slots into the carcass so I could screw the top on. And I just like to use a large washer over the 5mm hole. And then I could start finishing it, which actually took quite a while. I'm using water-based polyurethane, and I think the top got 4 coats in the end. So I almost forgot this part of the job, which is a towel rail on that one end of the unit. I have the worst lathe in the world, and I'm also no good at lathing, so excuse my bad technique.
Right, well there it is. Thank you for sticking with it. I know it's a bit of a long video. There was a lot to pack in there. I'd like to say thank you to everybody really who watches, and especially all the subscribers. I know there's been a lot recently, new subscribers, so thank you very much. It's very humbling to have so many people want to see what I do. So thank you again, and I will see you on the next one.